Here's to whiskey kisses, the peaty taste of sin. Edinburgh morning with the smell of brewing on the wind. Here's to lighting bonfires as you watch the seasons turn.
Well then, I guess it's whiskey time. Hello there, lovely whiskey folk, and welcome back to Drinking Out Loud. I am your host, Adam Bradshaw, and once again we are gathered here today for another SMWS Canada Outturn. Of course we are, for it is the first Friday of the month, and we have 6 beautiful new releases for you here today for the 127th SMWS Canada Outturn for May 2022. Join us in our flavour hunt, and special shout out to whoever does the graphics at SMWS HQ, because I don't know if you can pick it up there. I'll put it in front of the camera. They've got this wonderful little icon here of binoculars, but the negative space between the lenses is actually the shape of an SMWS bottle, and I think that's great. Big fan of that. So yeah, we have a wonderful lineup here today. We will be going through them one at a time, but of course they are already all available right this second at strathliquor.com/SMWS. So if you see anything you like here, jump across right now because, well, honestly, they're all, short supply and high demand. So there's a possibility that by the time you reach the end of this video, it might have already sold out. So hit pause, nip across to strathliquor.com/SMWS. And yeah. Then come back here and we'll continue. I am very much looking forward to this. I've actually already tasted all of these because we're doing 2 Outturn tastings this month, and we are halfway between. And today we're starting off with the blue one. So I'll put all of these down here because we are starting off today with an expert generalist. Yes, we are. All right, here are the official tasting notes. At first, a buttery sweetness wash over apple crumble, melon and mango before fondant icing was discovered on candied citrus and sticky syrup. Ginger, nutmeg and vanilla combined on the palate with strawberry sweets, fudge and black tea in a wooden cup. A little water brought the oak forward, where it fused with sweet nuts, orange sherbet and Turkish delight on a bed of fresh hay. The palate was now creamy and buttery, along with ginger, cinnamon and frankincense spice. Coconut husk had arrived with dried herbs, rosewater and marzipan, while on the finish came dark chocolate, aniseed and cloves. Lovely. All right. Very, very cool whiskey this, especially at our Outturn preview tastings, where we actually did a side-by-side with a sister cask, which was really, really cool. So, what are the details here? Well, Aged for 17 years, always fun. First Phil X bourbon barrel, so there's going to be a whole heap of flavour going on here. From September the 11th, 2003, from the Speyside region, 55.6 ABV. It's cask number 9.225. An outturn of 196 bottles came from that cask. And yeah, let's see what I think of this today. My lasting memory from on Sunday when I tasted this last was freeze-dried strawberries. I still get that a little. I said strawberry candies or strawberry sweets or something in the book, the official panel notes. I often find that strawberry sweets and strawberry candies have a very artificial strawberry flavour. I feel like strawberry is one of those hard flavours to mimic in candies. I don't think this is artificial strawberry. This is much more real, condensed, concentrated strawberry, which is why I'm going much more on the like freeze-dried or even not freeze-dried. That's not the right word. Dehydrated. There we go. The sort of chewy, sort of strawberry, gummy, real strawberries that you can get. Or maybe even like a semi-sweetened jam, not a full sweet jam. Yeah, definitely still getting that on the nose today. What else am I getting? Ginger, yeah. Sweets and nuts. Oh, yeah. So much vanilla coming in from that first fill sherry cask. Bourbon cask. There we go. Get it right on. It's very decadent. Yeah, I like that a lot. All right. For science, add a couple of drops of water. See if I notice a difference as the panel notes would suggest. I was saying it brought out the oak, orange sherbet, Turkish delight, fresh hay. Isn't fresh hay just grass? I guess I mean freshly like baled hay. Yeah, I could say there's definitely a bit of difference. I'm almost getting more of a sort of oatiness rather than an oakiness, I think. It's yeah, a little more deeper, more glutinous tasting, if you will. Lovely, yeah. Every bit as good as I remember from Sunday. And this whiskey, as was mentioned at the top of the show, is already available at strathliquor.com/SMWS. As always, we do keep a little of every release for the online portion of our membership. We recognise that not everyone can come to all of the tastings, so we don't want things to sell out at the tastings. We're portioning it out a little. So the first tasting gets some, the second tasting gets some, and then the online section gets some. So yeah, there should be, at the time that this video airs, there's at least a couple of bottles of everything available. $266.87 is the price on this one. But where's it from? What is a Distillery 9? There's a bit of a clue actually in the name. It's Glen Grant, beautiful distillery. And one of the things I did last month that people absolutely loved, I got a lot of positive feedback on it, was give a little bit of context as to when the distillery founded. As I mentioned last month, it's one thing to just say that a distillery was founded in 1785 or 1912 or whenever. It's another thing to mention what the world was like at that point. You know, it gives you a better understanding of what was going on around the world at the point that this distillery was founded. So Glen Grant was founded in the year that the first ever commercial telegraph line was installed along the Great Western Railway in England. The first ever telegraph line, not telephone line, telegraph line. That's wild. That's, yeah, 1839. 1839. Blimey. So yeah, it's been around for a while, Glen Grant. Very, very popular. The official bottling 18-year-old has won so many awards in the last few years. It's very sought after, hard to find. It's really nice that we get to try something somewhat similar, but in a sense is somewhat similar on paper, but wildly different because it's a single cask release, cask strength. As always from the SMWS. Yeah, bloody good. All right, whiskey number 2 in today's tasting is, Luscious Crumble. Very nice. We were surrounded by sweetness as honey and toffee apples merged with the fragrant oaky tones of vanilla and coconut. Then tinned pineapple and mandarin segments joined apricot Danish pastries before moving more towards digestive biscuits in a hay barn. The palate started with a cheeky, chilly heat that was bound by toffee, fudge, and treacle. Tinned tropical fruits returned with the crumbly biscuits, but now with clotted cream, banana skin, and fragrant tobacco, dusted with icing sugar. A few drops of water brought out an earthy nuttiness and meadows full of flowers. Coconut husk and cocoa powder complemented lemon meringue pie while on the palate. Orchard fruits and marmalade combined with toasted cereals and gentle spices on the finish. Yes. Okay. Sweet, fruity, and mellow, this one. So this is cask 115.24. It is from the Speyside region in a second fill ex-bourbon barrel. It was matured for 11 years. Distilled on the 2nd of September 2009. An Outturn 205 bottles coming out at an ABV of 58.4. How very luscious. So apricot is definitely what I got on the nose before. Getting it again today. I got fresh. It says in my notes here, the first time I tried this, more dried today. I don't know what this says about my mood or what I've eaten today, but it's merged from fresh to dried. I had a problem with this actually on Sunday. I wasn't really getting the whole pastry digestive biscuit side of things so much on here. I was much more in the fruit land. But that may change today, so I'll give it a sip and see what I find. Bananas. You know those banana pudding snack packs? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, bananas and caramels. The tinned fruit salad with those glazed cherries, the glacier cherries or whatever they're called. And oddly enough, peanut brittle. Actually, specifically a peanut brittle I had in Malta? I think it was Malta. I think it was called Mr. Tom's Peanut Brittle or something along those lines. It's like it came in a long thing, and there was there was one with coconut in it. It was like a coconut infused peanut brittle bar. Yeah, it was definitely Malta. I haven't thought about that candy bar in a very, very long time. I must have been about 13 when I had that. Blimey. What a wild memory to unlock. I'm going to Google it and see if it exists still. Mr. Tom's Peanut Brittle Bar. Yeah. And I remember the name because it reminded me of one of my favourite movies. Favourite books that got turned into a straight-to-TV movie called Goodnight, Mr. Tom. It was absolutely fantastic. Starred John Thor, I think it was. Incredibly sad movie. It's actually available on YouTube. I couldn't find it streaming anywhere, but I was showing Kristen the movie over Christmas time. I forgot how sad it was. So we sat there Christmas Day at Kristen's parents' house just weeping on the sofa watching this thing. It was wild. Great movie though. Alright, so where are I? I haven't added water yet. I got lost in memories. Let's get back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. I'm quoting Eminem. Okay. Yeah, okay, so weirdly retaining the peanut brittle on the nose now. Now it's in my head, I can't get away from it. I could see biscuits. See biscuits? No. I can see biscuits being something that people could get from this. I'm not personally getting it, but I can see the journey that could lead to it. But yeah, coconut, shaved coconut, definitely. Getting dark chocolate, maybe even marshmallows. You know those, like a dark chocolate Tunnuk snowball. That's something I'm going to enjoy in a couple of weeks. I'm going to the UK for a couple of weeks. I'm going to be heading off, visiting my parents, and spending a couple of days in Edinburgh, going to a friend's wedding, but also heading up Holyrood and going finally for the first ever time to the SMWS Vaults. I'm booked in for dinner. Very exciting. Made my reservation. But I will certainly be swinging by a corner store and picking up a Tunnuk snowball. Lovely. So, cask 115.24. What is 115? Well, it's a distillery that is relatively common now in BC. It's been a lot of liquor stores have started bringing this in. We've had it for a long time, but you won't see the name of the distillery on the bottles because the name of the distillery is Knockdo, but because there's already a very, very similar sounding distillery not too far away from it, Knockando or Knockando, they decided to call their whiskey Anok. Yeah, this is basically an SMWS Anok. It's an SMWS Knockdo, really. Knockdo founded in the same year that the first ever college basketball game occurred. Apparently, it was between Geneva and New Brighton, both colleges I've never heard of. Maybe they don't even exist anymore. But apparently that was the first ever sanctioned basketball game between two colleges. And that was in 1893. And this lovely, luscious crumble of a whiskey is available right now at strathliquor.com/SMWS while stocks last for $192.96. Lovely, lovely. Alrighty. Special mention to our second repeat of the month. I'm not going to taste it right now. I've already done so on video previously. I'll put a link in the description if you wanted to see it again. But we are featuring Bodybuilders in Ball Gowns again, an old release. And not only are we featuring it, we're actually giving it 15% off. So a very, very special deal of this. Yeah, it's a beautiful 9-year-old Utrusk, and it's now going for $144.06. So if you feel like a bargain whiskey, head over and get that as well. But we move on now to our third whiskey of the day. Kooky, wacky, flaky, funky. The slightly wacky nose had waxy oiliness, flowers and hedgerows, putty straw dipped in wax, stuffed Greek vine leaves, bee pollen and linseed oil. The palate tasted older than its years, dried mango and meltis newberry fruit candies. Olive oil cake, pecan pie, and yum-yums, and a salt and pepper earthiness to finish. The reduced nose held fruit gums, a rich sultana cake, and orange and lemon panna cotta. Agave syrup, beeswax, and honeycomb. The palate now started with fruit pastels, peach, cherry, and blackcurrant, shifting to marzipan and candied angelica, and finished up with teasing cardamom, ginger, juniper, and oak. Lovely. Speaking of juniper, watch out for the Juniper Collective. It's back. Our gin club is returning to the Strath. If it hasn't already been announced by the time this video goes live, it will be announced very, very soon. So if you're a gin fan, check that out. Yeah. Cask 59.67. This is an outturn of 185 bottles, aged in the Highlands, and distilled in the Highlands for 12 years. It was distilled on the 12th of February 2009 and was matured in a refill ex-bourbon hogshead, bottled at 56.9 ABV, of course, natural cask strength. This is a wonderful whiskey, and to be honest, my pick of the outturn. I absolutely adore this whiskey. Or at least I did the first time I had it. Let's see if it stands up to the test of a repeat performance. Yes. Smells fabulous on the nose. Yeah, this for me was really, really sort of all over the place. Lots of different flavors, all of them delightful. It felt like I had a bag of jelly beans and I just kept picking at the bag. And every time I had a jelly bean, it was a completely different flavor, as you generally expect with jelly beans. And each one of them was just more delicious than the last. Pecan pie, absolutely, it's got that sweet, luscious nuttiness. I have no idea what a yum yum is. I've never had olive oil cake, so I don't know. I don't really know what bee pollen's all about either. But yeah, I definitely found this to be sort of like a natural candy sweetness. I guess the agave syrup kind of makes sense on that, but with just beautiful fruit and nut flavors, and a floralness as well. There was definitely a sort of a almost lavender-esque note to it. And a herbal note. It was really kind of, yeah, a little bit of everything. Oh, and it still is. But at the heart of it, there's that, I don't know. I still don't know how to sort of fully describe this experience. It's whiskey flavored, which doesn't help. It has that sort of really rustic, almost biscuity, but not biscuity. It's the same experience as biscuity, but it's not the flavors of biscuity. It's this sort of rustic whiskiness to it. It's the je ne sais quoi. It's the heart of the whiskey. It's whiskey flavored whiskey. Yeah. Yeah, this is gorgeous. This is a textbook example of an absolutely fantastic teenage, well, it's not quite teenage, I guess 12 isn't technically teenage, but you get the gist. In the tens, sort of that beautiful balance of wood and spirit together. Not too much wood influence that it overpowers the spirit, which is important for a whiskey like this because the spirit is interesting and complex. So you want to pick it up with the wood rather than cover it with the wood, you know? If that makes any sense. Either way, this is fast becoming one of my favorite distilleries. It's a Tea and Innick, everybody. Love a Tea and Innick. Love the story of Tea and Innick. I love the whole thing with blind Captain Human Row. But when was Tea and Innick founded? It was founded in the same year that Jane Austen, of course the author of Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility, passed away. 1817. Long time ago. Yeah, well before my time. Beautiful whiskey. And this can be yours for $187.74. $187.74. That means, I guess, technically it is eligible for non-members. If you've never been a member before, you can join the SMWS by purchasing any bottle that's $180 or more, including this one. And if there is any left and you're watching this video as a non-member, it will be a heck of a way to start an SMWS journey with kooky, wacky, flaky, funky. Our next whiskey today is interestingly similar, both in history and style, to Tea and Innick. We are sticking to the Highlands, going to the spicy and sweet profile for a barrel of beeswax. Beeswax and lemon skins joined candied citrus and sweet pickled ginger on a bed of jasmine tea leaves, fresh straw and polished wood. Waxy textures continued onto the palate with a burst of chili heat that sweetened into honey, green apples, citrus oils, and strong black tea. Water accentuated woody aromas of dusty sawdust and wood oils before rosewater, fresh pineapple, and strawberries appeared alongside toffee apples. The peppery heat had now faded to tingly ginger with lemon pith and sherbet. Buttery and chalky textures coated fine grain wood, while banana sweets and ginger nut biscuits found lime skin on a clean finish. Ooh, I love a ginger nut. Ooh, a Fox's ginger nut biscuit. Leicester's finest. Ooh. All right, Leicester. It really packs a punch in the snack department. Not only is it home to Fox's Biscuits, some of the finest biscuits in the land, also Walker's Crisps, chips, as they would be called here. Yeah, well done, Leicester. Also weirdly good at like sports. For such a small city, it's about the same size as Victoria. Like it's won the Premiership with Leicester City. It's weirdly good at rugby. The Tigers are a fantastic team. And it also just so happens that my entire family, dating back for multiple generations, is all from there. So it's a pretty damn good city. I've never lived there personally. My dad and his brother were the first generation to move away. My dad down the road, his brother to Australia. But I feel like I'm carrying on the heritage of quality from Leicester, this weird, obscure little town in the Midlands. Anyway, this is a barrel of beeswax, and it is a barrel of fun as well. So let's pop this one, pour myself a dram, and tell you all about it. Yes. Okay. Lemony. Very lemony again. Someone in the audience on Sunday actually said lemon pledge for this. Not in a bad way. They didn't think it was like chemically or polishy, but it reminded them of the exact lemon sort of aromas of lemon pledge, which I thought was very interesting. And actually did go with the whole polished wood thing in the tasting notes as well. I often find that kind of aroma reminds me of the lemon oil that you can use on fretboards on guitars as well. Potentially a slightly more poetic thing than lemon pledge. It's very... It is very reminiscent of, like, old wooden instruments and waxes and, like, violin bows and that kind of thing, or an oboe bow. No, wait, oboes don't have bows. We've been through this before. I don't know why I keep thinking an oboe is a double bass. Or a cello. There we go. Cello is the thing I'm thinking about, not oboe. They rhyme, I guess. Cello bow, you know, the big, I think it's like horsetail or something, hair bow that they wax up. Making up a cello and oboe, good lord. I'm just imagining rocking up to a string quartet with an oboe. Wouldn't go down very well. Anyway, yeah. We had a whiskey a long time ago in the SMWS that had that same feeling, a very different flavoured whiskey from what I remember. It was called Honey on Stradivarius. It was like a sherry cask thing, I think. But yeah, it has that old instrument feel to it. And actually, in fairness, quite a few people in the room thought this was a lot older than it was. Same with the last one, actually, with the Tea and Ninick. Feels more mature than it is on paper. Speaking about what it is on paper, barrel of beeswax is cask 26.167. It is aged for 8 years in a first fill ex-bourbon barrel. It's from the Highland region. It was distilled on 23rd of October 2012 and was bottled at 60.6%, and they managed to get 192 bottles out of that barrel. Lovely. Yeah, that is a gorgeous wee dram. And it is from, as I teased in the last whiskey, a distillery that is weirdly similar to Tea and Ninick. In fact, I've had a couple of people tell me that work in the blending industry that when a blender can't get their hands on Clynelish for a recipe, Tea and Ninick will do. And this is a Clynelish. Interestingly, historically similar as well, both founded by Highlands Clearance landlords. Tea and Ninick, much more well-remembered landlord. Clynelish was unfortunately not so pleasant, but thankfully he was not in charge for long. He got usurped quite early on in the history of the distillery. These days, of course, Clynelish is under Diageo ownership, and as such is relatively hard to find here in BC. We very rarely get it. Love the distillery though, still one of my all-time favourites. And it was founded, apparently, in the year that the renowned inventor James Watt was unfortunately passed away. James Watt is, if that name is ringing a bell, he invented the Watt steam engine, which was kind of an improvement on the steam engine, and he's actually gives his name to the university that I went to, which just so happens to be the world's leading university in brewing and distillation. However, I took mathematics, so yeah. Must have rubbed off on me a little bit, though, you know. Ended up doing a career in whiskey. But some people who did actually go to Heriot Watt for brewing and distilling are sort of masters of the industry these days, including the great Leon Webb. And if you haven't seen my little video with Leon Webb that I put on YouTube a couple of weeks ago now, a week and a half ago, absolutely you should do that. It is a bit of a going away present to him. I unlocked Big Bad John's while it was closed, and we sat and did a blind tasting of Mickey's plastic 375ml bottles of Canadian rye whiskies to figure out which one was the best. Yeah, you will be, I feel like I'm clickbaiting you here. You'll be shocked to find out who won. We certainly were. But that was a lot of fun. Big Bad John's with Leon Webb. He is heading back to Scotland. He's going to be working at a distillery in Speyside. I don't think I'm allowed to tell you which one yet, but you will certainly know soon. So, congratulations, Leon. Anyway, this Clynelish is available right now at strathleger.com/SMWS for $204.26. And of course, if it is not available at strathleger.com/SMWS, if it has already sold out, then don't forget to check in with our partners, Legacy over in Vancouver, just across the pond if you happen to be going, or if you happen to be taking a trip a little further over to Alberta, you might be able to find this at Keg and Cork in Edmonton and Kensington Wine Market, of course, in Calgary. Lovely. Okay, whiskey number 5 today is Stuck to the Fruity Velcro. A robust and unctuous aroma greeted us. Sweet raisins, figs, sultanas, and a myriad display of sticky dark fruits. Malt loaf, booze-soaked Dundee cake, prunes simmered in Armagnac, black truffle and balsamic reduction. With water, we got sweeter and lighter fruit tones like guava, mango jam, red fruit cordials, and then pipe tobacco, damp and musty wine cellars, aged Tokai, and plum wines. The neat palate was big, punchy, and assertively spicy. Lots of dried pink peppercorns, Tabasco sauce, wild strawberries, paprika, chili chutney, and juniper gravy. Water brought out cinnamon swirl pastries, black miso, dried mint, old orange wines, cardamom, and strong Irish coffee. This was previously in an American oak butt for 7 years, before being transferred to a first fill Spanish oak Oloroso butt. Ooh, double sherry, Oloroso ex-American, followed by first fill Oloroso Spanish, and this is spicy and dry is the profile, and spicy and dry is a damn good descriptor. This was a bit of a blow-away dram, especially coming after a really interesting run of ex-bourbon casks leading up to this. This was so instantly different in so many ways, not least of all the colour, which you're about to see now. So, this is cask 6380. It is a Speyside. It was distilled on the 15th of June 2011. Matured for 9 years in total between the two butts. Those butts gave us 556 bottles at an ABV of 66.4. And we are in Sherrytown right now. Yeah, so this was really interesting. Definitely very dry Oloroso casks were used for this. I don't mean that the casks were dry. I mean the Oloroso itself was dry. This is not your grandma's cooking sherry. This is very sophisticated, dry, nutty Oloroso. So big and tanning. So much tannins going on there. Really interesting from the two different types of wood. I do get those tropical notes, but they're weaved with darker notes. It's not just dried mango; it's dried mango coffee. You know, so it doesn't actually taste of dried mango. It tastes like a coffee that tastes like dried mango. It's an extra step in between. Yeah, it does have that deeper, more umami flavor of the truffles and the balsamic that it talks about there. Dark, sticky prunes. Saurine's malt loaf. There's a thing I'm also looking forward to introducing Kristen to in the UK. I'm not sure how that one's going to go down. It's a bit of an acquired taste. Also, speaking of acquired tastes, what on earth is juniper gravy? Sounds great. I like juniper. I like gravy. What could go wrong? All right. Well, stuck to the fruity Velcro. What a whiskey. This is from a very cool distillery, Glentochers, which is one of many distilleries from the 1890s. Although one of very few comparatively that actually survived the whiskey bust that came soon after. So this is from 1898, which is a very interesting year, because it's the year, a very interesting year for whiskey in general, actually. It's the year that William Gladstone passed away. And if that name is ringing a bell, well, possibly it's because there's actually now a whiskey named after him, the Gladstone Axe. Apparently he had a pretty damn good axe collection, and he always walked around with an axe. Odd fellow. But he's also a former British Prime Minister. And I'm just now realising how bizarre it is that we've got a whiskey named after a former Prime Minister. Anyway, but very important for the whiskey industry, because he is one of the people responsible for making blended whiskey sort of a legal thing and an allowed thing, and the idea that whiskies from more than one distillery can be sold and bottled as a product, much like blended teas can be. Of course, it was done before then, and you could go to a store like Johnny Walker and Sons and or John Walker and Sons, or Doers, or any of the corner stores that made their own blends, and get it directly from them. But he's responsible for them being, pushed onto a market, bottled and distributed, which is kind of cool. This is available right now at strathliquor.com for a limited time only, of course, because this one will sell out quite quickly. 186.09. So again, theoretically available for prospective members, but I don't see this one sticking around for very long. So if this does sound good, I know there's only one whiskey left on this video, but give it a pause, head across to strathliquor.com, buy the whiskey, come back, and if you like Pete, you'll want to come back. The next one is called Titillated by 10 Tickles. Among the fresh seaweed of the ocean floor, the octopus peered at the barnacle-clad hull of an overhead steamboat, as it puffed clouds of soot over its cargo of ripe bananas, smoked almonds, and molasses. The reek of beach resin and the tar on teak from its decking mingled with the brine of the sea and buckets of scallops. With water came the thick grease from the engine room as it combined with coal dust, lobster nets, and tar-covered rope. Thick oils trolled across the tongue and left behind sweet cereals and sawdust with salted caramel and hints of spiced chutney. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So, unless it wasn't clear from the description, this is A, peated, and B, Islay. Yes, we're looking at an Islay whiskey here. It was distilled on the 16th of November, 2010, aged for 9 years in a refill ex-bourbon barrel, from which they managed to get 248 bottles at an ABV of exactly 60%. Oh, and this is a beauty. This was by far and away the most popular whiskey in terms of people wanting to try and buy a bottle at Sunday's tasting. Went to, I think, a 17-way draw or something ridiculous for only the 4 bottles that we had for sale at that tasting. Pretty wild. This is a really interesting version of a 53 as well. So it's a 53.354. 53 is Kalila. It's I'll tell you that from the get-go. Kalila, really cool, big factory-style distillery, although it was founded longer than you might think for a distillery of its description. It's, it looks like it might be something that has its origins in the 1960s or something, in that kind of industrial boom. It's actually from 1846, apparently, which is the year that California gained independence from Mexico. And as I'm saying that doesn't sound right. I definitely looked at that and found that information on Wikipedia, but I must be missing something. There must be some other California or something. Maybe there's a town of California called in California? Surely the state of California is older than that. Oh, I don't know. My knowledge of American geography and history is severely lacking. But in fairness, I'm not American. So, yeah. Yeah. Cool whiskey. Very, very interesting. Very interesting Kalila. Not that many people guessed that this was a Kalila, to be honest. There's one thing that I love about SMWS Kalilas is the variety. There's a huge amount of variety that you get from this distillery, and the SMWS is really good at finding those unique and interesting casks. I think more people guessed that this was Kilcommon than Kalila, to be honest. It's just beautiful. It's so different and interesting. And let's crack her open again. Brand new bottle. Oh, I only got the foil there. I'm going to put the foil back on and take two. All right. Take two. There we go. Ooh. Oh, yes. Okay. I'm getting much more seafoodiness than I got at the event the other day. This is very scallopy for me. This is scallops and bacon and lemon juice served on an old hubcap. I haven't spent much time in a ship's engine room. I haven't really spent any time in a ship's engine room unless you count like museum ships that you get to walk through. But I imagine it would smell an awful lot like this tastes. One thing I have spent a little more time in, especially whilst active, is an old steam engine coal thing. I went on a school trip once where I got to witness that happening, which was really cool and honestly weirdly dangerous for a school trip. I was very close to a lot of very hot things and a man with a big spade. Yeah, that wouldn't pass these days. Anyway, it was a great experience, and it's definitely very Raging Coal Fire-esque as well. Sooty. An old crab lines. And lobster cages. Yeah. Yeah, this is a very maritimey whiskey. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. And yeah, Titillated by Tentacles is available right now in very short supply and high demand for $210.35 at strathliquor.com/SMWS. However, if this is already sold out, again, please check out our partner stores. But if you are searching for another Kalila, well, we actually do have another one available right now at strathliquor.com/SMWS anyway. So, check out our other 53 while you're there. Thank you very, very much for joining me here on YouTube for another digital version of our Outturn tasting. Hopefully I've been somewhat helpful and maybe even possibly entertaining, but helpful is what I'm more aiming for, to be honest. If you have any questions about the whiskies here today, or any SMWS whiskies, or really any whiskies, feel free to shoot me an email, whiskey@strathliquor.com. Drop a comment if you have any questions and don't feel like opening up another browser. The comment section right there. I will try and reply to any questions there as well. And hopefully, I will see some of you in a couple of weeks at the Highland Games. Yes, the SMWS is returning to the Victoria Highland Games. That's going to be a heck of a tasting. Really, really fun lineup of some old, very special releases that we're putting up there. Anything that doesn't sell out at that tasting, by the way, will be going online as well. So during the May 2-4 weekend, do check out strathalliquor.com/SMWS for some new special re-releases as well. I won't be here for the Outturn next month because I'll be in Scotland, actually, during the Outturn time. I'll be up in Edinburgh visiting Holyrood Distillery and checking out the vaults. But you're in safe hands. You are in very safe hands because Brett and Emily will be co-hosting the in-person tasting. Tickets for that tasting, by the way, are available right now at strathalliquor.com/SMWS. We are only doing one session, though, and that session is going to be on Thursday, June the 2nd, so tickets will be in high demand. I expect them to sell out pretty quickly. Yeah, I think that's everything I've got to say. Thanks for tuning in. Slan Shivar, I will see you on the next one.